State Representative Mark Gillen of the 128th District in Berks County. It's summer of 2013. I'm out of the district, but as a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee, I have responsibilities all over the state. I'm with Colonel Griffith in Horsham, at some people refer to as the Willow Grove Naval Air Station, but we're going to learn a little bit about name change and mission change. Tell us about it, Colonel Griffith.
Sure. Yep, you got it right. Long time, the Willow Grove Naval Air Station, then the Willow Grove Air Reserve Station, now in the works to become the Horsham Air Guard Station. 111th Fighter Wing, the Pennsylvania Air National Guard, still here, formerly flying the A-10s and converting to the MQ-9 Reaper.
We're still deploying A-10s. If I'm not mistaken, they're out in the field. We still utilize them, just not out of this base.
That's correct. Active duty Air Force, Air Force Reserve, and the Air National Guard are all still flying A-10s.
We've learned a great deal about what goes on the base. Tell us a little bit about some of the activity that you're engaged in and the men and women in the service are engaged in the community.
Sure. Like most Guard units, we have a great community relationship. We have a strong outreach program or programs where we are actively involved with all kinds of organizations in local communities, from in Philadelphia to Horsham to the surrounding the community, to include some of the emergency response capabilities that we provide here.
I'm a state licensed emergency medical technician, have been so for 25 years. I'm especially interested in that arena. Tell us specifically your intersection with emergency response, fire, EMS.
I sure can. Here at Horsham Air Guard Station, we have the 56th Stryker Brigade combat team of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, and they head up with us the Pennsylvania Task Force for this part of Pennsylvania, and it is when activated, we work with EMTs where in the region, and we exercise with them regularly. We talked a little bit about it earlier, about how we exercise on base and we exercise off base with those units, and we build those relationships every day, so that when it comes time to respond to a disaster of whatever nature, the relationship is already there, the training has already happened, and we put everything into motion that we train for.
My sense is the military is even more concerned than they have been in the past about that public relations component, that intersection with the people out in the community. And certainly you couldn't get away from it in Horsham. Right across the street is residential housing stock.
Right, sure. And again, I go back to, that's one of the strengths that the National Guard and the Air National Guard brings is our community relationships. We have a great relationship with Horsham Township, and it takes the work of both Horsham Township and the Pennsylvania Guard. But with the Guard is in more than 3,000 communities around the nation, so the structure is there. It's just the outreach programs that we have to or that we want to engage in to keep those relationships strong and growing.
As a young person, I watched planes coming and going during the 1970s in this area. Certainly those planes are gone, but the dynamic of what is happening here is almost invigorating, because you're going to control the flight of planes from this very footprint here.
Sure. Gone are the days of the A-10s flying around the skies of Horsham, but in are the days of a new mission, and the remotely piloted aircraft and the MQ-9 Reaper here at Horsham. Again, the folks outside the base, so our neighbors, are not going to see airplanes flying around as so many people fondly remember. But what we will be doing is controlling the remotely piloted aircraft from here, albeit the aircraft somewhere else on over the globe in some faraway land, but controlled from right here.
We appreciate your invigorating influence on the community. Obviously, it means new residents, children in the schools, and a sense of security for the United States of America. So we greatly appreciate your distinguished service. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm honored to be a part of it. And again, this is like we were talking about. It's great stuff happening here at Horsham for the base and for the surrounding community. So we're happy to be a part of it.
You ready to take for a ride in this plane now?
I'm ready. I'm more than ready.
You don't fly these, but you do fly other planes.
I don't fly these, but I flew the A-10 for many years right here at what was then Willow Grove.
When did we first introduce the A-10, just out of curiosity?
A-10s started showing up in 1974. So it was actually after Vietnam that the Air Force determined, the Army and Air Force determined we needed a better close air support platform, and that was what started the development of the A-10, and then the A-10 became a favored platform by our Army brothers that we supported.
I'm reaching deeply into the reservoir now of my mind. I'm thinking tank killers.
You're right on mark. Tank killer, the A-10 Warthog, as it's affectionately known, is the single-seat close air support airframe for, and everybody knows it as the tank killer.
You're the friend of infantrymen, aren't you?
We are.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
I greatly appreciate the time you spent with us here.
Yeah, again, it's my pleasure. It's been a great day. So here's where we are, the Horsham Air Guard Station, and this is the who's who in the zoo big picture. So the 111th Fighter Wing is the Air National Guard component here. We're the host to the unit now. That is a bit of a shift for us. We used to be a tenant to the host. Navy was the host. Air Force Reserves were tenants of the Navy, and we were tenants of the Air Force Reserves. Everybody scattered to the winds, and we were left holding the bag. So as you drove in this morning, you may have noticed that there's some detour signs, and there's some construction, and there's things that don't quite look right, and there's a road here with a fence across it, and then there's a road that breaks, but there's no fence, and we're still going through growing pains, but we're happy to be here and running the show, and we're making great strides as going from tenants to hosts and all the things that go along with that. Within the 111th, again, right now we're about 750-ish people. That's going to go up to about 1,000 folks. Within the 111th, we have an air operations group, a medical group, a mission support group, a Red Horse group, which is folks who do some heavy equipment, and we'll see some of the heavy equipment stuff out and about. A 270th EIS is the engineering installation squadron. They lay fiber and do that kind of support work, and they deploy and do that mission out and about. Cyber with the question mark, that's a mission that we'd love to get here at Horsham. As we all know, cyber is the topic that comes up that the folks with lots of stars on their shoulder in the military are national security concern, and cyber right now is leading that national security concern. So the Department of Defense's role in the cyber arena is still being defined and shaped and built. And we hope to be an active part of that and at the cutting edge of that. The 99th Regional Support Group is Army Reserves. There are about 1,000 folks. I missed the 56th accounts for about 325. These are full-time and traditional folks, so that's not everyday numbers here on the base. That's when their unit is up and for a training assembly. The Army Reserves, all kinds of cats and dogs living underneath that umbrella of the 99th Regional Support Group, but equates to about 1,000 folks in here on the base. And then the National Collaboration Development Center right next door to us here run some courses, and they have 6,000 to 7,000 folks a year come through here for their different courses. They are interagency type folks and law enforcement fusion efforts and they're on the base here with us of a non-military, other than DOD.
Is that 99th? Is that the one that used to be in Pittsburgh? The 99th Arc Column?
No, no, I don't think so. I think the 99th is an umbrella, Army Reserve, regional support, and then underneath them, they are, essentially what that is we've taken some armories, local armories, and moved them into the base. So that's largely what that is. Just quickly here, this is just, again, going from taking over the role as a host. We, there's plenty of money that's come in here. The 56th Stryker Brigade building right next door. So there's some dollar amounts to buildings that and projects that we've worked on to get us to where we are. You'll see the 56th has a nice new building. The Army Reserves have a nice new couple of buildings, and then we are going to start to see some new military construction buildings and renovations here within the 111th as we move forward. And that ties into the next bullet there of near future projects. Leading the way there is the RPA Command Center. RPA is remotely piloted aircraft. This is where, this will be my chance to do what our Air Force leadership wants to hear, and that is, drones is like, oof, that drives a thorn in their side when it's all in the news and the media. Drones, oh, they're not drones, they're remotely piloted aircraft. The thought process is, and what this will get us, the $5.8 million, that's military construction that's going to go into setting up that mission here. That's, the hot topic these days is the remotely piloted aircraft, and the missions that they fly. But that is a mission that's coming here, and we'll have the control stations here on base. Airplanes will be wherever they need the airplanes. So the airplanes won't be here. We'll control them from here. We'll fly them from here, but they'll be flown wherever the mission needs them.
Presently, are they being flown out of Denver? I mean, is that the area? Now that's growing. Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, outside Las Vegas, was kind of the first active duty location flying them. Predators, the MQ-9 or the MQ-1 Predator was the first kind of generation of the unmanned or the remotely piloted aircraft, and then we've got Global Hawks. The Reaper has come on, and a handful of others. It'll be the MQ-9 Reaper that will control from here. But there's Creech Air Force Base out in Las Vegas. There's Horsham Air Force Base in New Mexico. Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. Syracuse, New York Air National Guard unit, similar to us, converted from a manned flying mission to remotely piloted. Ohio Air National Guard, Colorado Air National Guard, North Dakota, Fargo, all units of the same kind of mix where flew fighters converting or converted to remotely piloted. And then,
Sure.
Okay, good. As I said, when you get the mission for these, you only get one model of the RPAs. And different units fly different models. You can't fly more than one type from here.
Right. It's not much different than when we had A-10s here. I was only checked out and qualified in the A-10. Now I couldn't go fly an F-16 or an F-15 somewhere else. I was an A-10 pilot. I will be an MQ-9 pilot, and other guys I'll be a qualified MQ-9 pilot. Somebody will be an MQ-9 sensor operator, and then other units who have other airframes will be MQ-1 pilots and sensor operators. So it's still a mission design series, we call it. So by airframe. The 56th Stryker Brigade, there are Army National Guard brethren who are right across the street. That's probably the only place we're gonna walk over there. We'll stop in, take a look. They'll give us a short spiel, and then they'll show us they're a Stryker combat brigade, so they'll show us their stuff. Then we're gonna hop on the bus and just take a quick windshield tour of the base so we can see what's here now. We'll get a little bit of a taste of what was here.
You're going to give us a little walkthrough on the Stryker. Tell us about it.
Yeah, this is the command brand Stryker. You'll see these up and down the turnpikes, and we drive these on a regular basis. This very truck's been over in Iraq. We got it back. It's been all refurbished. A lot of electrical stuff in here, as you can see. It takes a lot of upkeeping on these, but we love to drive them, and there's nothing better we like to have than being a Stryker.
This is not your dad's unit. This is high tech. Tell us a little bit about the capacity, what it can do on the field.
This Stryker has there's 11 different variants of the Stryker, so there's different components of the Stryker, and a lot of them are different, but they all on the outside do the same thing as far as the capabilities of them being in theater and back at home, of things that they are fully capable of doing, and they help us complete all our missions.
Share with us how this protects the soldier as compared to a Humvee or some other unit.
It's higher off the ground. It's a lot bigger. It's a lot massive. A lot of people tend, when they see it, or they're surprised at it, because a lot of people haven't seen these on the roads, a lot. But protecting of the soldier, it's nothing better that we'd rather ride in. I mean, over in Iraq, we'd rather not ride in anything else but a Stryker.
Nuts and bolts. How quickly does it move? What sort of capacity and firepower does it have?
Has a lot of firepower. It takes two different weapons. It'll take the 50 cal machine gun and the Mark 19 grenade launcher. This will do 70 miles an hour. Believe it or not, as heavy as it is. It can go in 4x4, and it can also go in 8x8. It has a CTIS system in here that, depending on terrain that you are, it'll deflate the tires and flake the tires up, so you don't have a lot of mobility out on the ground with it.
What sort of range are we looking at here before you need to fuel back up? Of course, it depends on how fast you're going.
It has a 56-gallon tank. It'll go 300 miles at 40 miles an hour, this particular vehicle.
What do we want to avoid with this vehicle in terms of landmines, tanks? What's you going to be faced down by and say, this is out of our league?
Nothing is out of this Stryker's league. It can handle anything.
How many men are we carrying on this Stryker?
It varies. Like I said, we have 11 different types of vehicles. This particular vehicle is our commander's vehicle. It's called a CV, command variant. Has a lot more computer stuff in it. Anywhere between 6 and 9 personnel in the truck.
I walk in the front door of this unit. I want to be on a Stryker. How long am I going to need to be trained in order to get on board?
To be a Stryker driver, there's different positions in here, but everybody needs to start out as a driver. That's an 80-hour course. It takes 2 weeks to learn how to operate this vehicle.
Can I go A to Z on this site? I can be certified right here on this base.
Not in this base. At 40 in the Town Gap, we run 2 courses a year for the Stryker drivers. And like I said, it's a 2-week course, and it's nothing but learning this vehicle from A to Z.
On the domestic front, people see the Stryker. It's a different impression that people have versus seeing, a Humvee going down the road. You get a little craning of necks to see what's going on.
Everybody wants to take pictures of this vehicle going down the road. Everybody. We've been stopped by police officers, nuns. Everybody wants to take a picture of this truck.
All right, this is not your average engine. Tell us a little bit about what we got under the hood here.
This is the 3500 Cat diesel turbo engine. Same engine that's in the tractor trailer that you see out on the highways. It's a 6-speed Allison transmission. It's one of the most powerful engines that we've ever had in the vehicle.
All right, we're not going to pull into the repair shop or into the battlefield. Tell us about the durability of this engine.
It is so durable, but it's a lot of upkeeping. The driver and the whole crew have a lot of responsibility in keeping this engine running, which is every time they get in and out of this truck, there's a maintenance requirement that has to go with it before you get in and before you get out.
So I'm not over here just driving the thing. I got the hood to pull up.
Beat right here.
All right, if this is not moving, we're in deep trouble.
We're not moving, so it's imperative that our maintenance that we have for this vehicle is kept up every month, every time you get in, and every time you get out, there's a maintenance performance that has to be done on this motor before you close everything down for the day.
You've got problems, you've discovered them over the course of the years, and how have you improved the engine here?
They've improved these so much. Like I said, GDLS did a good job of redoing the alternator and the hydraulic system in here. pretty much, it doesn't burn a lot of oil, but there is an oil reservoir there that we have right there. That's that right there. It's constantly pumping oil into this truck every 2 minutes.
I imagine a desert experience, Iraq, Afghanistan, very hot. How well does this stay cool?
It was the most awesome performance vehicle we had over there.
Let's go at the other end of the spectrum. We're in winter and it's Afghanistan.
It's the most awesome vehicle out there.
All-purpose, year-round, 70 mile per hour. This propulsion system is doing the job for you. What would you compare it to in terms of what the military uses as far as its efficacy? Anything out there at all?
Nothing. This is one of the best vehicles ever made.
All right. This propulsion system works perfect for this vehicle. Are we using it in any other military vehicles, tanks, etc.?
Not that I know of.
So this is unique to the Stryker. All right. 70 mile per hour is good enough for me. It's good enough for the military. But at the other end of the range, okay, in terms of maneuvering, slower speed, terrain, up and down, mountains, what can this thing do when it doesn't need to do 70 miles per hour?
It is the most performing vehicle, whether you're in a village doing 4 miles an hour or you're on a highway doing 70. This is one of the most capable vehicles out there for any terrain.
Any terrain? Are we actually talking mountainous terrain?
Mountains, they're using them right now in Afghanistan.
When was the Stryker introduced, and how long do you think this vehicle will be in service?
I think it'll be in service for the rest of the military's career. And this vehicle came, I don't know the exact date, we got them in 2005. And but they've been overseas since day one.
Thank you. You're very enthusiastic about this. We appreciate your time.
The base was, and again, please don't hold me to exact numbers here, but it was around 1,100 acres, 8,000 foot runway in its heyday. Now about 150, 200-ish acres, I believe. And now again, Air Guard hosting, Army Guard, Army Reserves, and interagency. So again, this is, a lot of this down here is all unchanged. So that's the 270th Engineering Installation Squadron. Some of these other buildings, this building along here was an aerial port building, empty now. And these are some of the buildings that we as a host unit are trying to figure out, you know, do we use them? Can we modify them to be used as something else so we can put the right units in the right buildings efficiently and effectively. Also on the left, you'll see what's left of our fuel farm, the fuel plant. The Guard had all of the fuel for all of the base. The Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, Reserves, and the Air National Guard all came from our fuel plant here, and some of that infrastructure is still in place. A small piece of trivia that is largely unknown is that Ted Williams, albeit I'm a Yankees fan, so I guess I got to call Ted Williams, a Boston Red Sox great, trained here. He flew in the Korean War, and he trained here at Willow Grove before he left. Originally, it started out as the Pitcairn airfield, and Pitcairn was, I think, a local family, and Pitcairn, they invented the autogyro, which was some crazy flying contraption of the time. But this started out was just farm field, and then became Pitcairn Airfield, and then everything has kind of blossomed around it. The hangars that are still remaining up here, the hangars off to the left are old C-130 hangars of the Air Force Reserve, and then the hangars, that's actually that one big building up there. Is technically kind of 3 hangars. Those were Air National Guard hangars. We've converted those into to different use buildings now. We put a gym in there, for some morale, welfare, recreation. Our E-meds that I had talked about, our ability to support, by deploying medical equipment, the modular, scalable equipment that we can ship out of here, and the supplies for that are housed in that hangar up there. And then the hangar, the 2 buildings to the right are those are buildings that we're looking at to house our remotely piloted aircraft operations. So and now this base, this ramp is now all space that we can use for training. This is where we're going to host our open house. The lion's share of the open house setup is going to be right here on this base. And again, that's some of just the trying to be good neighbors. And we talked about, Representative Stevens and I were just talking about, hey, there's still a lot of unknowns of what is here at Horsham. So what we want to do is have an open house and bring folks in so they can see what's here, and we can talk about what's here and what's coming here, and continue our solid relationship.
Where will the assets for the RPAs, where will they actually be maintained and repaired?
Well, the way it's set up is there'll be there's a separate maintenance, launch, and recovery element that goes with the airplanes, and that wherever it's needed, wherever the Department of Defense says we need this capability, that's where the equipment and the maintenance and the personnel for launch, recovery, and maintenance go. And that's a pretty small footprint of people. That's less than 100 people. And then again, the folks who are actually controlling the airplanes are right from here. So just control stations.
That moves around, the maintenance part can move around.
The maintenance part moves around with the airplane, and the airplane can be loaded up. Wings come off and gets loaded into an airlift airplane to be taken to where that asset's needed. The next closest RPA unit would be up in New York State.
So it's certainly a feather in Pennsylvania's cap to have that asset located right here.
It is. I mean, it's a high demand asset that we just can't. We have a great need for intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and attack capability from all platforms. So
we're looking at a significant future, it sounds like, for that here. Once it arrives, it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
It sure seems like it's a growth industry.
Briefly, in closing, this must do a lot for morale. I would imagine it's a substantive booster having the RPA come in.
Absolutely. It's been a great shot in the arm for the unit. The unit has gone through a lot in the last several years. So to have something substantive and meaningful come in here, people feel pretty good about this, and we sure think that the community should feel pretty good about this as well.
Well, thank you for being an important part of bringing it here. We're grateful.
We're honored, and again, we're glad to have you folks here, and we're just trying to get the word out that good things are happening at Willow Grove, or I should say, good things are happening at Horsham. That shows showing my age there. I've been at Willow Grove for so long, I can't stop calling it Willow Grove.
Thank you for joining me today for Legislative Report at the Horsham Air Guard Station. It's been my delight to spend a few minutes with you, taking you inside this military facility.